Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm reviewing Killers of the Flower Moon. So this is the newest film from Martin Scorsese, and he brings back Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro once again to create a big, huge cinematic masterpiece. This one takes place in 1920s Oklahoma on the Osage Reservation, and it's following the story of the mysterious deaths of many of the members of the Osage Nation and what they're dealing with when there's these kind of white settlers that come in and are trying to take their money away from them. And it's very long the way the film plays out, but I will say I think the way that it's paced never makes you feel bored. Leonardo DiCaprio plays Ernest, who is a man who comes back from World War I, and he's thrown into business with his uncle William Hale, who's played by Robert De Niro, and I think they play well off of one another. One, Leonardo DiCaprio's character being kind of not very bright person that's kind of a chess pawn for him. He's being moved along to do things that maybe aren't the best things to do in the world, while Robert De Niro is kind of playing this game of trying to steal all the money from these Native Americans and using it for his own ends. And while I think they both give really good performances, Lily Gladstone, I think, really steals the show. She plays one of the members of the Osage Nation who ends up marrying Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and she is struggling to balance her love for this man with kind of the loss of her people and what her people are going through. And she has to play some actually very physical scenes. She gets very sick in the film, so being able to play through that sickness, almost being incapacitated for a good maybe third of the film, while still having some very powerful moments, I think she really knocks it out of the park when she's on screen. I think she's able to play a subtle and very nuanced role in the beginning of the film to really developing as a character by the end. Leonardo DiCaprio's character also has quite an arc by the end of the story, so I like to see that. He isn't a kind of unredeemable character. And the fact that all this is based on a true story is even that more fascinating. It's a story that I feel like most people knew nothing about. I knew nothing about it. I obviously knew about the atrocities that were committed against the Native Americans, but seeing this kind of more focused story that also focuses around the development of the FBI and kind of telling that part of history was really fascinating. I'm glad that we were able to get a huge cinematic film that tells this very important story. As you expect from Martin Scorsese, the film looks fantastic. It's well directed. It's well shot. Everything about it is what you come to see from him. The setting of 1920s Oklahoma is extremely well executed, down to the costuming, the landscape, even everything that goes into this movie. It looks fantastic. I think this movie has one of the most interesting takes and stories on westward expansion. We've seen a lot of films that take place in the Old West, but this one really does drill down, and it really tells of the corruption during that time. I know for some people the 3.5 hour runtime is a long ask, but I do think it's one that's worth checking out. If you didn't see it in theaters, I definitely would say check it out when it goes onto streaming. Like I said, you got to break it up a little bit. It is quite long if you have to, but it's worth the story that's being told. I feel like it never, like I said, feels boring, and it moves along at a pace that you're really invested in the story. You're really invested in these characters, and it really drives home the messages that it's trying to tell. So at the end of the day, if I were to rate Killers of the Flower Moon, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's not my favorite Scorsese film, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely a solid outing from him. I liked it more than The Irishman or Silence. So of his recent films, it's definitely moving up towards the top. So if you check this one out, let me know what you thought about it. Did you like it more? Did you like it less? I always love to hear people's opinions. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.